come up from over the top and hit you right on the top of your dome. He's done that really well, and he's really good at it, and he practices it a lot because he knows that's his money punch. That's the punch that most folks are going to fear and try to time and avoid. So he's got to actually be creative with it. And that's exactly what he's done throughout his career. It's been very creative with that right hand. Tyson Fury is another subject that we can talk about, saying, well, he looks more confident. He looks more, on his feet. He looks like he wants to sit down more on his punches. And he definitely has something to prove, even more this time around.
Yeah. Maybe it's Mike Bloomberg making a reappearance in black and minority neighborhoods. I'm sure you guys heard about that.
Yeah.
Motherfucker. Yeah. Yeah, so you were saying about Tyson Fury, David. He kind of does have something to prove if what he wants to prove is that he can knock out a heavyweight champion. That's what he says he wants to do. His philosophy going into this fight is that the longer the fight goes, the more dangerous it is for him. So he might as well try to get Deontay Wilder out of there quickly. It's the reason he says he switched trainers from Ben Davidson, who he sees more of a defensive specialist, to Sugar Hill, who he believes is more of an offensively minded KO coach. And, we'll see if that works. I mean, he is 6'9", 270 plus pounds. He has been boxing on the back foot mostly through much of his career. Let's see how he does moving forward, boxing off the front foot, because one thing that a lot of people have noticed about Deontay is that he's not quite as good going backwards as he is going forwards. So that is another aspect of this fight that makes it kind of an interesting story.
Well, look, I've watched when he fought Ortiz this last fight, and even though he was losing on the scorecards, I don't know about you guys, but I thought he was in control because I thought he was able to do whatever he wanted. He got touched. That's one thing that Wilder still hasn't perfected, is to be hit. He's not the most elusive guy. He doesn't know how to pair correctly yet, because he's so focused. He's in a zone. And the one thing that I think what makes him exciting and makes a lot of fans kind of gravitate to him is that he's so openly willing to risk his jaw to land a big shot. And he knew exactly what he was getting involved with Ortiz, who in his right own, he's a big puncher in his own right. But saying they can't fight off that back foot, I thought he did, Amilcar. I thought he was I thought he timed them correctly, and I think that if Tyson Fury's game plan is that if he is going to press forward, he's going to have to press forward with angles, not the way the Ortiz did. Ortiz came in straight in, head on in a line, and that was perfect for Wilder to land his airplane right down, into the cockpit.
Well, I see that, but what I didn't really see Luis Ortiz doing was walking Wilder back to the ropes and try to get within Wilder's powerful shot kind of range. Right. I think kind of Fury's idea to do in this fight is to smother Wilder a little bit and get inside his punching range, as opposed to Luis Ortiz, who kind of met him in the ring in the middle and honestly had a terrible defensive lapse and got caught with a shot. The danger with Wilder is being at the end of his punches, more than it is, I think, being on the inside, fighting him. And one thing Fury did well in the first fight was fight at a distance, but he didn't get the decision on the scorecard. So I think his feeling is that he can't try to box Wilder on the outside for 12 rounds. One, it could be risky and he could get knocked out. Two, even if he does do very well, he might not get the decision after 12 rounds. when I say defensive lapse, Kenny, I'm only quoting his own coach, who said that his problem was that he lapsed defensively in terms of maintaining the appropriate distance with his footwork. He got into Wilder's punching range when their plan was to stay outside of his punching range. So it wasn't an issue of him lapsing defensively because he put his hands down or didn't have his guard up. His plan going into that fight was to stay outside of Wilder's punching range, and he was doing that effectively for a lot of the fight, but he got a little bit greedy. He decided to get inside Wilder's punching range, and once he did, he got clipped with what you just described very well, is just like that one-time powerful shot.
Well,
You want to jump in there, David? I had a couple things to say, though. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, well, the one thing we're going to know is that Tyson Fury is not going to be no bodybuilder. He doesn't have that body frame. Even if he was to pack muscle on, it's going to be muscle really that's not going to be defined, you know. Tyson Fury's body is Tyson Fury's body. Even at a guy of his size, he's so mobile. You know, my concern is this, is that talking about putting on muscle is heavier than fat, especially on his legs. That to be, I watched that roundtable with Tyson Fury's dad and David Haye, and I agreed with David Haye, saying that, you know, when you put muscle on your legs, especially if you're so used to being mobile and so used to being elusive, that could slightly slow you down, you know, and that's also going to force you to fight flat-footed. It's also going to force you to fight on certain moments that you regularly wouldn't have fought because you've always been so used to moving away from the punches, you know. You know, Tyson Fury, let's remember this. Tyson Fury it's not the first time we saw Tyson get rocked heavily in a fight. You know, Cunningham really rang his bell. And the one thing, though, that about Tyson Fury is that he recoups very fast and very good. He is a conditioned guy. You know, his dad was saying that he could literally stick his finger in his body, all that stuff. I'm sorry, let me come more closer to the mic. You know, and that this time he may be more solid. Well, I remember I was one of the guys that was saying that he needed maybe 2 or 3 more fights before he got in with Wilder. So the worst form that we saw of Tyson Fury, you know, I do believe that he's finally gotten back his full conditioning, the strength that he needed in that first fight. But I got to agree with Kenny. If he's thinking about going out there to knock out Wilder, which he's not that type of beast, that's just the wrong game plan. It could be psychological. What he's trying to do is to force Wilder to throw what he's learned and how he's been very patient, to be over patient, and that's what got him in trouble the first time around. That could be the possibilities. Get in the young man's head, who Wilder's the older guy, but he's young, still young in the game. He still doesn't know the tricks in the bag that these other guys in the division know. You know, as Tyson Fury, he's the more seasoned, more veteran. He's the more veteran, so he's got more bags more tricks in the bag, and that's what really saved him in that first fight.
Yeah, you know, what a lot of U.S. commentators are mentioning is something that's been circulated a lot in the English media, which is that Tyson Fury was in terrible shape going into that first fight. His father, a former fighter, essentially said that he was in better shape than him prior to that fight. He said that if you touched him, he was like a piece of wet tissue paper, is how I think he described it. And he essentially was in the fat camp for over a year. He's only
right.
was literally to do keto, to stop drinking, stop doing drugs, and to lose 150 pounds, which he did successfully. There's a lot of credit to that. But he wasn't really strength training. He wasn't really doing the type of boxing training that you'd expect from a championship level heavyweight fighter. He has been doing that now. I think in an ideal world, he would have used the last two fights to train with Sugar Hill Stewart. Because if he was going to change trainers, why wait until after the first two fights that he just fought? You know, he probably should have trained with Sugar Hill Stewart for those last two fights leading into this fight. So I think, though, that like I started out saying here, that it just really hasn't been discussed enough in the U.S. media that he really wasn't in very good shape for that last Wilder fight. And you could see it in his body. I mean, he was just soft all around.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. He was. Look, Sugar, I've said this, Sugar, because so many folks kind of questioned that move, and I actually was like, well, he did help out Adonis Stevenson box better, throw his right hand better. It made him a much more round fighter than we had seen him previously, because Stevenson was so raw. This is my thing, though, Amilcar, and anybody else. You guys want to call and certainly can in about another 10 minutes. Let's just get our final thoughts, and then we'll get everybody's calls and their picks. But here's my thing. I think at the stage of where Tyson Fury's at is that there's not a whole lot of tricks that you're going to learn new from anybody. From having the other guy that was training him to now, Sugar from the Kronk gym. There's not a whole lot that I believe he's going to learn. I think he's going to still be the same Tyson Fury. I think that he's going to do what really good veterans with still good conditioning can do, which is like Guillermo Rigondeaux. Guillermo, in his last two fights, everybody thought his legs are shot. His legs are done. Come to find out, that was by choice. He was actually listening to the fans. They were calling him boring. He goes out there, back into the style of, I'm not going to move around. I'm not going to be that elusive, and I'm going to, sit and trade with Solis. And then he finds out, guess what? It's not going to work. I'm going to have to revert to where it's got me, where it's always kept me, an Olympian and a world champion. It's preserved me correctly. I think with Tyson Fury, that if he makes the mistake, that we will see an early, knockdown, as Kenny was mentioning, because to me, he's immediately trying to go into the jaws of the lion. And I think as soon as he feels the razor teeth of Wilder, he's going to revert back to what he's always been. Boogaloo from Jungle Book, dancing away, having a good time. I just don't see him trying to really impose his size and then try to implicate whatever Sugar is going to bring to that table. I just don't see it happening. Maybe a slight bit, but I think he's who he is, and he needs to accept that.
I wholeheartedly agree with that statement. Tyson Fury is Tyson Fury. He is who he is. That's about it. He ain't changing. He's not going to develop any power. He's not training for that. I think he's still in the fat camp, because if you look at his stomach, it still looks like the Michelin Man. But, he needs to put some muscle on his body. He needs to put some muscle on his body, like seriously, if he plans to compete with dudes like Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. Those are very powerful guys. And if the last dude, no disrespect, I don't remember his name. If the last dude that he fought cut him up so bad with a punch, because he was landing way more than Wilder. Yes, it's just a very bad look. A very bad look if he gets hit and he's that low in weight. He definitely needs to bulk up a little bit. Not burn fat, but build muscle. Hit some high intensity interval training, my buddy. Burn the fat, keep the muscle. All right, that's what he needs. Trust me.
He said that he's put on muscle for this fight, so that's something that he says he's tried to do for this fight. In fact, he said that for the Tom Schwartz fight, that he actually went down a lot in weight because he was new to Las Vegas. The heat and in the gym was leading to him to train in a very hot environment, and the weight was just coming off, even though he didn't want it to. But I don't think either of you two are really giving Tyson Fury enough credit when it comes to his ability to adjust in the ring. He adjusted tremendously after the Otto Wallin cut, which was opened up by a punch, which can happen in a heavyweight fight. He totally adjusted his plan. And if you look at the way he fought Tom Schwartz in the fight before that, granted, Tom Schwartz isn't the highest level rated heavyweight, but he was boxing from the orthodox stance in the first round to the southpaw stance in the second round. And what a lot of people don't realize, and I heard Freddie Roach say this because he held the mitts for Tyson, is that he's actually a very strong puncher from the southpaw stance because he's a natural southpaw, but he just chooses to fight orthodox in most of his fights. And if you remember, when he put down Tom Schwartz in their fight, it was in the second round when he was fighting out of the southpaw stance.
Right.
In the training footage that I've seen so far, he hasn't released much training footage, but he's been training a lot from the southpaw. I saw him training from the southpaw stance for this Wilder fight. So, he's not. If he does go for the knockout, I'm sure he'll be, approaching Wilder out of his natural, powerful stance, which is his left-hand stance. Because usually he's fighting with that lead right-hand jab, as opposed to lead left-hand jab. Sorry, and not the lead right-hand jab.
I'm not discrediting what Tyson did and what he's done. What I'm saying is this: is that whatever new method, I don't think there should be a new method. If you go back and you watch that first fight, I tell you what really kept him in the fight here, in my opinion, is that he did some sensational body work against, Wilder. He jabbed at the stomach, he jabbed at the solar plex, and that pushed back Wilder anytime he felt like pressing. The punch that he snuck in with Tom Schwartz was an uppercut. That's what really rang the bell of Tom Schwartz. He's phenomenal when he's right there in the inside. The conditioning could do a whole lot. I just think that the opportunities that he creates is when he's moving, not when he's pressing forward. He capitalizes on guys' mistakes. And that's what I'm saying is why try to change that? When you did so well in the first fight with Wilder, you just needed to do it just a bit more. I said this, let me tell you this. When that first fight happened, came back on the ring, and I said this. Tyson fought almost a perfect fight. If he adds just a little bit here and there to his repertoire, nothing big, nothing huge, he could get that bigger leap over Wilder. To me, my question was, can Wilder do any more? Can he be any better than he was on that night they faced each other the first time? I'm very curious about that. I'm not sure. Beating Ortiz and beating these other guys that were there in front of him, again, doesn't give me a whole lot to go off of. Doesn't tell me everything that I need to know about Wilder. He has gotten better, but he still hasn't really showed how good of a jab. We keep hearing he has a phenomenal jab, but we still haven't really seen it. We've seen glimpses of a very, strong jab. But strong jab and educated jab are two different things, guys, right? An educated jab can push a guy, can move a guy to where you want your right hand to land. An educated jab can dictate the fight. An educated jab can slow down the speed of another guy. Deontay Wilder really doesn't do any of that because he's so busy, so consumed in landing that right hand.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to agree with David on this one. I'm not discrediting Tyson Fury at all. He's a professional fighter. He's a great fighter. He can move like no other heavyweight. You know, I'm not gonna go through all his accolades. The guy's great. We know that. I'm just saying that I feel Deontay Wilder's gonna come out with the win in this one. You know, Deontay Wilder gets better in every fight. The second time he fights people, he always does better than the first time he fights them, and he finishes them off earlier. What that tells me, just off of that little simple analysis, I guess, is that this knockdown is gonna come way earlier in the fight. Not knockout, knockdown is gonna come way earlier in the fight. And supposedly, according to Tyson Fury's father, Tyson Fury has been training to put on weight, to put on muscle. I don't see it. But if that is the case, that he is putting on muscle, then, you know, he's going to be he's going to be just as slow as he was when he was in the fat camp, as you called it, Amilcar, because he didn't drop, he dropped a lot of weight, and supposedly he's putting a lot of weight back to put on muscle. It doesn't really sound too realistic what his father's saying, and I haven't really seen too much pictures or videos to know what he's really looking like. So, my thought is basically based off of the last time that I saw his physique. That's it, nothing else. So, besides that, yes, he's a very talented man. He did great in the first fight, and yeah, I just see him going down much sooner because I don't know if he's gonna be able to dodge Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder has gotten better with each of his last, I think, 5 fights, because he's actually fought opponents that are worthy, that have challenge him. It's not a walk in the park for him. So I think he's gotten better with each of his last 5 fights, and it's only going to show that the Deontay Wilder that Fury's going to be fighting is not the Deontay Wilder that Fury fought 2 or 3 fights ago, whenever it was. It's going to be much different. You're going to see. He's going to land a lot more punches, including that jab.
Well, if he fought the worst of Tyson Fury, let me just put this out there real quick. If he fought the worst of Tyson Fury, you imagine, I mean, because this could go both ways too, Kenny. If Tyson Fury was not in the top of his A game, and he fought the worst of what we saw of Tyson Fury, and Tyson is actually saying, look, I needed more time, needed to put muscle, I needed to do all this extra to really be formally who I was before, then I think Wilder's going to have a hell of a night then, because he was having a hell of a night on that first fight. It was a tough fight for him because he was having so much problems finding a fat camp Tyson Fury.
He was definitely having a ton of trouble. Sorry, go ahead, Amilcar.
Well, I was just going to say a couple things. One, the U.S. media, again, that covers boxing has repeatedly mentioned over and over again that, you know, Deontay Wilder's impressive in his rematches, but I think that requires a little bit further analysis. You know, you look at Bermane-Stiverne was much better in the first fight than he was in the second fight. In the second fight, he weighed in at his career highest up until that point. The only time he weighed in higher than that was when he got beat up by Joe Joyce, and he was in tremendous for that fight. Yes, he had been out of the ring for 2 years. He was at a career high weight, and he came in as a last-minute substitute opponent. I think you've got to throw that rematch out of the
door. Yeah,
totally out the door. And then the only other one was Ortiz. The only other one was Ortiz, who was slightly younger than 40 in the first fight and was older than 40 in the second fight. And to me, was in parts of the fight was actually boxing much better in the second fight than he was in the first fight. So he got hit by a shot as he did in the first fight. I don't really think Deontay was that much better in the rematch with Ortiz than he was in the first fight.
I definitely did. I'll explain why after.
I mean, he landed fewer punches. And I think the rounds were much more even in the first fight than they were in the rematch. I mean, most people felt that Luis Ortiz, and including myself, won the majority of the rounds in the second fight.
Right.
Yep.
And he did.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the first fight, a lot of those rounds were back and forth.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm not disagreeing with anything that you just said right now. Everything you said is correct, but I still disagree with that he didn't do better in the second fight. He didn't do better in the terms of punches landed. I think he did better in realizing what his style actually is and coming into himself and learning Deontay Wilder or what he calls the bronze bomber. He said when he's in the ring, he's a bronze bomber. So whatever, yeah. He's much different. He in the second fight versus Ortiz, he wasn't just windmill wilding or letting punches go all over the place. In the second fight versus Ortiz, what he was doing was being a lot more calm, patient, looking for his punches. When he landed that right hand, that wasn't a windmill. That was a straight sniper power shot that he was looking for, and he just timed it and let it go. That's how he's gotten better. He hasn't. He's not a great boxer. We know that. He's not going to win rounds. He's going to lose most rounds, and he's going to look foolish. He's going to land less punches and all that. Yeah. And so, yeah. Sorry, what was you going to say, David?
I was going to say, what I think, and I think this is what you're talking about, Kenny, because this is what I see. I see a glimpse of him being very intellectual. Like he hasn't really shown that because of his power. He's been wild. He's been able to land these big shots, and it's saved his ass numerous times. And I think with that Ortiz fight, because I did see that. I saw that he went out there with a game plan. He understood what he did wrong in that first fight, which was going to a complete firefight. This time around, he was more cautious. He waited for his moments. He was giving rounds away because he didn't seem like he was in a bit of a rush. He was just waiting for the perfect time to strike, and he did it. And that's what I actually was kind of impressed about, because going in with a Tyson Fury, I think that he has to make every shot count this time around, because if you look at that 10th, 11th, and 12th round, guys, he was gassed out. He wasn't really there. He was breathing hard. He was knocking out the wind, but he wasn't really catching Tyson Fury. But that's what got him to catch him on that final round. So a little bit of this and a little bit of that, Fury's got to put in together to figure out Tyson Fury. But the ball of who has the IQ in the ring has to go with Tyson Fury all the way, because like Kenny said, you think he found himself. I still don't think he's found who he really is yet. Mm-hmm. I think he's still figuring out some of the things in the ring that works for him. But facing the guys he's faced, 5 guys, 3 guys back, do not prepare you for a Tyson Fury whose style is very difficult to kind of find in a sparring partner to replica. It's a very difficult style because he's so orthodox and unique.
I agree. It's difficult to replicate, but I don't think he needs to find someone to replicate exactly. He already knows what Tyson Fury looks like. He spent 12 rounds in the ring with the man last fight. He knows exactly what he looks like. He's training for that. The first fight, it was a surprise. This fight, he's educated on what Tyson Fury looks like. What I see him doing is patiently looking for his punches like he did in that fight, in that second fight with Ortiz. He's going to patiently look for the punches that he landed in the first fight or for the openings that he saw in the first fight. He's desperately going to watch that tape. And yes, it would look crazy. He would look very funny if Tyson Fury came out southpaw. That would be a complete different change.
I'll tell you this though, Kenny, because you're thinking about the way you fought in the first fight. But if Tyson comes out with the southpaw stance, if Tyson comes out more aggressive, then it's going to be a complete surprise. Go ahead, Amilcar. Sorry about that.
No, I was just going to say that, David, that the idea that he can just do what he did with Luis Ortiz and give up rounds and hope to land that one power shot, that's not going to work against Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury throws a lot more punches than Luis Ortiz. He moves a lot more than Luis Ortiz. He's going to be touching up Deontay with the jab if Deontay's just standing around like he did with Ortiz. David, I agree more with you. I think that if Wilder's going to have the type of success that he's going to need to have to win the fight, he's going to have to improve the use of his jab. And like you, I've been hearing for years that, that's something he has in his repertoire. That's obviously something that his coach Mark Breland is famous for. he's going to have to be using a consistent jab and now jabbing Fury on the way to landing a right hand, because just standing around and waiting to land that one shot, he's just going to be giving up rounds. And if he does that, I'll be honest with you, Tyson Fury is going to just decide probably to stink out the joint and box at a distance, because he's got a huge reach advantage over Wilder, something that Ortiz didn't have, right? He's got much better footwork than Ortiz. And if he's up 6-7 rounds, he can just jab from the outside and box at a distance.
You keep on mentioning... Pardon.
So go ahead, Kenny.
Sorry, repeat the end of what you said. I didn't hear you.
So I was just saying that because of his height and reach advantage, two things that Luis Ortiz doesn't have, Tyson Fury is going to be much harder to do that to, in terms of just timing him with one shot. Not to mention just his use of feints and left and right lateral movement and head movement. I mean, what Deontay did against Luis Ortiz is not something that he can try to do again, or should try to do again against Tyson Fury.
We're going to open up the phone lines right about now, and about another 10 seconds here. We got a lot. The phone lines are pretty packed right now, guys. So just really quick, just to put in my last 2 cents about Deontay Wilder's jab. He hasn't used it much. He's going to have to use it against. I agree with Amilcar all the way. You got to use that jab, but not just a jab that just comes straight to your face, because of how mobile and how elusive that Tyson Fury, and Tyson Fury creates angles. He goes side to side. He turns his shoulders. He knows how to turn those shoulders so the punches can slip. That's where Wilder, if they were doing their homework correctly, they were watching them correctly, the jab shouldn't go straight down the pipe. The jab needs to go to the shoulders. So, it's going to make Wilder, if he switches to the left and you have your jab coming to the shoulder, you end up numbing those shoulders. It's like a Charlie horse, and then go to the body. Make that, because that body, the waist is always going to stay there, So this, like I said, there's a lot of things that Wilder can do, that he could pull from the drawing board, but I'm just not that confident that he could do that because of the opponents that he's faced. He's never had to pull those type of cards off of the board to use against opponents. Tyson Fury, if you watch those last 2 fights, he really was in his zone, his own world. He was able to do what he wants to do, almost like if he's in a sparring session. But he was in a sparring session with real guys that wanted to take his head off. So it's a really interesting fight. But I want to let some other people on and hear their opinion. Let's go with our good friend Hamed, man. How you doing, brother? You're on live right now on Leave the Ring.
Yes, Dave. Thanks for taking my call. It's been a while since I called in.
It has, man.
Yeah, the shows have been like you guys obviously do a show late. I was sleeping early, so I was up tonight. But I was listening to both you guys. Look, Kenny, it's good to be back talking to you guys.
What's up, brother?
I agree with. How's it going? You all right?
Good.
I agree with what, I can understand what Kenny was saying, but I agree with pretty much everything Amilcar said. And I think he broke everything down. Like, I said this, and I rewatched the Ortiz-Wilder fight. Wilder, I don't think looked good in that rematch. Like, maybe he was patient, and maybe he knew that Ortiz is older and is going to gas out, but you can't do that. And, that was a gamble, which paid off. Like, if he does that against Fury, that's not going to work. Just look at Klitschko when he fought Fury. I know that was a younger Fury, and it was a fight that was a long way back. I know Wilder is not Klitschko, they're two different fighters, but if you're just looking for one shot and you're following a guy around and not cutting off the ring and letting your hands go, you're pretty much going to be down on points, and after 8, 9, 10, 11, you're going to get desperate. Wilder obviously could get a home run in the 12th and 11th round. That's where I think he's very dangerous, but that's a cat and mouse tactic that I personally don't think is a good tactic. With this fight, I do think Fury will be in better shape physically. Mentally, he might have been in better shape for the first fight. I'm not sure how he is. Mentally, he said a lot of stuff to the build-up to this, that he's kind of contradicted himself. Whether or not that's the same as a person, and he'll actually go on to try and knock Wilder out, which I think is possible. I don't know, but I do think he'll be better physically because that first fight, he was basically in a fat camp, and let's be real, he didn't really fight the live body since he fought Klitschko, and that was like in 2015, so he hadn't really fought anyone until he got in the ring with Wilder. Now people try saying that Ortiz is not that good, but Wilder still had fought, he was more active and had actually fought a much better competition leading up to that. So I think for that just showed in that fight that Fury obviously is a very good boxer. Wilder is a very bad boxer. I do get what Amilcar is saying. He's not as bad as some people think in terms of when he's thinking and when he's trying to set up the right hand, he's doing what he's effective at. And that's what all he needs to do, because he said after the rematch with Ortiz, all he needs to be is perfect for 2 seconds. And I think he pretty much hit the nail on the head. He doesn't really need to windmill and let his hands go that way. If he could just get one right hand in like he did against Dominic Brazil, he could knock you out. The flip side with this fight is if he hits Fury again and Fury gets back up, and Fury is the one who's in control and is a lot more one-sided, I think Wilder could be in trouble. The thing I'm kind of skeptical of, if Fury said he wants to go for a knockout, I don't think he's going to be stupid and put his chin in the air. The thing is, if he can't knock him out, is Fury going to try and box him, or is he going to keep trying to go for a knockout? Because I agree with Amilcar. I don't think backing off and clowning, taking the tongue out and doing that shit in the first fight is gonna work for 24 rounds. He's done it for 12. He got away. I think Wilder was way too wild in that first fight. I think in this fight, I do think he has to back Wilder up. I don't think Wilder could fight on the back foot. I don't know about you guys, but do you think Wilder on that level against someone like Fury, elite fighter, could fight on the back foot? Because I think Fury is probably better.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree with Amilcar. I haven't seen him do it, but here's the thing with me though, Hamed, is that I've always felt that Fury couldn't really think while he's in the ring. I've always thought he's more of a guy that reacts to what you're doing. That's why we've seen him get so sloppy, get off balance. With the Ortiz fight, it told me, well, no, wait a minute, he can actually stick to a game plan. But his quick reaction, if Fury, in my opinion, if Fury was to try to push him back, then you're going to want that Wilder to kind of open up and be wild, because that's when he can catch Fury. Because if you're going to try to be technically sound against Fury, you're going to lose that. You're going to lose that fight. I think Wilder just needs to be that needs to be that awkward that he was in that first fight, as much as Tyson has to be Tyson.
I would disagree with that. I agree with what Hamad said, but I would disagree with what you just said, David, because I feel that Wilder needs to be that calm dude. Let Tyson Fury win all the damn rounds. Who cares? Let him throw all the punches. Let him throw 80 punches around if he wants. Let him get tired. All he needs to do is land that one punch. That's all he needs to do. And that's all he's going to look to do. You guys wait and see. I got Wilder by knockout. This is not going to be a 12-round fight.
The problem I have with that statement, Kenny.
Hold on, guys. Let me hear what Hamed has to say real quick. What
do
you say, Hamed?
I'll let Amilcar get it, because I think Kenny is kind of missing the point. Wilder already dropped the guy when he was not as in good shape, when he was just coming off a long layoff. And he couldn't knock him out. All right, he came close. While Fury was virtually knocked out for a couple of seconds and just about beat the count. But we've seen Fury get back up and he recovered. Like the guy, we all know the guy is a freak of nature. Like I don't think anyone else I've seen recover like that. I'd probably have to go back to Larry Holmes. I think it was against, I can't remember, was it Indy Shavers or Ron Lyle? Like one of those fights. I can't remember which exactly one it was. But the point is, if you can't knock the guy out and you're giving up rounds, which are not even competitive, the Ortiz fight wasn't competitive. I had a 6-0. I think Wilder was competitive in one round. We all know Fury's faster, much better boxer. He's taller, got a better jab. You do that against Fury, you're 11-0 down in rounds. You won't even be able to debate whether you won the fight. The first fight, I thought the reason it was so competitive was because Wilder actually let his hands go, but on the flip side, he was missing so much. I think if he jabs and uses his jab, he could have more success. Because Fury, I don't think people remember, Fury was bleeding from the nose early on. But Wilder just negated the jab. Whether or not Fury was also beating him in the battle of jabs. But, yeah, I'd like to hear what Amilcar was saying. Because I thought he was going to make an interesting point.
Yeah, what I was going to say is that the comparison again between Ortiz and Fury just to me isn't a good one because Ortiz has a 78-inch reach. Fury, all right. So Wilder has an 83-inch reach. He's usually the guy with the longest reach in the fight, and when you step into his punching range or step backwards, he's able to catch you with that right hand. Tyson Fury has an unheard of 85-inch reach. He's probably only person that Deontay Wilder has boxed or will box that has a longer reach than him. And he just cannot afford to stand in front of Tyson Fury and do what he did versus a much older, much slower, much shorter fighter in Luis Ortiz. The other thing, too, is if he's waiting for Tyson Fury to get tired, honestly, that's not going to happen.
Yes,
Tyson
it is.
Fury,
I know. Good luck.
Yes, it is.
big heavyweights that I've seen, has got some of the best cardio I've ever seen.
What do you think happened in the 12th round? What do you think happened in the 12th round when he got knocked down?
It was not it was not Fury that was gassing at the end of the fight. In fact, he didn't go down because he was tired. He went down because he landed a good shot on Deontay Wilder, got greedy, and then decided to go inside of Wilder's punching range as opposed to staying outside of his punching range and fight a more disciplined fight. Andre Ward said it very well on a little synopsis thing he did. He said, look, if I had an 85-inch reach, I wouldn't even get hit. You know, he was talking to Tyson Fury about his strategy. You know, if Tyson Fury wanted, he could literally dance around the ring. And in terms of the shape he's going to arrive in, look at the Klitschko fight. He was not, a fat fighter in that fight. And again, in that fight, it was Klitschko that was huffing and puffing and getting tired, not Fury. So if Deontay Wilder thinks he's if he thinks he's just gonna,
he doesn't have a history of gassing out.
He doesn't. I just feel that.
I'll say this.
I literally just feel that he doesn't have a history of gassing out. But if Deontay Wilder could box a little more on the back foot and just let Tyson Fury try to hit him, not stay there as a target and get hit. Move around and let Tyson Fury swing a whole lot, which he does, and move his head a whole lot, and hold his energy a little later into like the 3rd or 4th or 5th round, when Tyson Fury is a little more tired.
That's a terrible plan, Kenny.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Kenny, that's a terrible plan. Wilder's been hurt before. Tyson Fury has hurt Wilder in that fight. You know,
bro, Wilder was not hurt. He was tired
with Ortiz.
No, bro.
No.
In the last round. Jack Reese said he got hit. Can I say something? Because this, I think, is a key element.
Go ahead.
Which I think we all missed out on. What Fury said he's going to come in 19 stone. I think that's 266 pounds. If he's heavy as 270, above 266, and he's about 275, even if he carries the weight, I think he could get tired. It don't matter how good your stamina is. If you're moving around for 12 rounds, you're bound to get tired. With a guy with... the thing is, Wilder's is not just about the weight and doing the boxing thing. Wilder's going to put a lot of pressure, like mental pressure, like that Fury will have to burn as well. The guy, if he's going to be plodding around the ring, following him with a big right hand, that's going to obviously burn unnecessary energy. So I think weight may matter as well. But Fury, I think if he's anywhere between 18.5 to 19 stone, 266, just under 270, I think that should be okay. It depends how he approaches the fight. Like if he was to box against Klitschko, obviously he shouldn't be coming that heavy. But if he wants to do some damage and sit down on his punches, that might be the right game plan. But I can understand what Kenny's saying, because if he's really heavy, the guy will get tired. It don't matter who you are. Like, you're carrying that much excess weight.
Yeah,
and
I
moving
agree with
around,
that. If he comes in with that extra muscle, that's why I was saying, I'm like, do you really want to put on that much muscle? That makes no sense to me. If you relied on your ability to get away from a guy and use your legs and the majority of your whole career, why would you change all of that? You know,
That's
that's
what
like
Dad
Wilder
said.
saying, I'm gonna fight like like Glora. I'm gonna fight like Rigondeaux. I want to
Yeah.
sit back and box. Beautiful. It just doesn't work. You know, I don't see.
Dave, I thought he had more success to when he let his hands go, and because remember when Wilder drops him
Right,
in the ninth
I
round,
agree.
and I rewatched this.
Yeah, that's what I'm
He
saying.
gets back
Yeah.
up and he runs out. He chases after Wilder. So if he's got more snap on his power and more weight, there's I watched a couple of I think I watched a couple of heavyweight fights here undercard, and I think it was one of David Hayes' fights a couple of years ago. I realized that some heavyweights do come in at different weight. They fluctuate. It depends what they're trying to do. If they're trying to go for early KOs and whether or not Fury could do that, I don't know. But I think weight and that, it depends what you're trying to do. If you're trying to use it and he's trying to maul over Wilder, push him back, lean on him, that could tire Wilder out. And that could be to his advantage. But it depends what he's trying to do. Like, if he's trying to use it to knock and hurt Wilder and push him back, then I think that might be the right tactic.
I don't know. Here's my thing, is that if you want to talk about guys letting their hands go, that is more for, in my opinion, Wilder's department, because he was successful against Fury when it happened. Fury's the best part of the fight with when in Fury's moments in that fight was when he made Deontay Wilder miss. And Hawk made it right now on the chat room, made a great point. He made Wilder miss a lot of shots, but he never made him pay for it.
Yeah.
This time around, I think that's what Fury needs to do, is make him pay for it. Not go to him, allow Wilder to bring the fight to him, because, like I said, there are times that he got clipped and he got hurt and he got dropped is when he got a little bit too greedy, like Amilcar had mentioned. He got greedy, and he decided to stick around for the change in receipt.
Yeah, that's true. I was just going to say that's true, Kenny, but the thing with that also is he left a lot of early rounds and I thought a couple of maybe mid rounds to interpretation. I thought Fury won the fight, but I had it close. Like, I didn't think it was 10-2. I had it 8-4, and I thought some of those rounds were close because Fury, rather than make Wilder pay, he was like either making him over miss and pay. Making him over miss, and rather than that, just clowning, showboating, which you could do. But if you're missing chances to land 1-2 extra jabs, then I think you are missing out. With Wilder, I thought Wilder did let his hands go in that first fight, but I thought he overcommitted. I thought Ortiz against Ortiz is opposite.
I feel
this
that
was
if,
actually a big.
Sorry, I was gonna say I feel that if if Fury lets his hands go, then he's gonna put himself in the path to get that eraser, and that's what he was trying to prevent the first fight, and that's why every time he caught him with the first jab punch, he ain't tried to capitalize with the power punch. He just took a step back. He wasn't trying to get erased, and it's gonna be the same thing this fight. If he tries to capitalize once he stuns him, he's gonna be erased again, and he is gonna get tied by round 12 if the fight goes that far. And Deontay Wilder is gonna get the knockdown early in the fight. This is gonna be way more serious on Deontay Wilder's side. You watch. And Ahmed, I have a question for you before you get off the phone. I don't know when you plan on going, but the question is for everybody that calls. You have to choose a fighter. We're gonna tally this up by the end.
Yeah.
Who you got, Wilder or Fury?
I will. I was gonna say a couple more things before.
Okay, sounds good.
Dave get to the callers. I was just going to say this. If Wilder drops him early, I think Fury's in trouble. We got to look at this. Fury got dropped in the 12th round. I know Wilder carries his power, but Wilder said he's coming in heavy. Now, I think that is risky and dangerous because that could slow down his timing and speed. And I think Wilder should not be heavier than about 215, if I'm being honest. But if he's coming close to 220 or heavier, that could slow him down. But if he lands his right hand, and it's early, I think Fury will go. The thing we got to look at, Fury got dropped in the 9th and 12th round. Those were towards the end where I think Wilder's power may not have been as concussive as he is early on. Whether or not that's true is hard to tell. Because Wilder, I think, is someone who's heavy-handed from round 1 to 12, but he's probably more heavy-handed early.
I don't disagree with anything you said.
Yeah, I think Amilcar was gonna say something.
No, I was just going to say that there was a disagreement in terms of philosophies between Freddie Roach and Ben Davidson in the first Fury Wilder fight. And the difference in philosophies was that Ben Davidson, who's the lead trainer, wanted Tyson to box cautiously and, like you were saying, Kenny, land that jab and then kind of, move away and then land another jab and move away, and then when there was an opening, maybe land the right hand. Whereas Freddie Roach actually was saying there were opportunities there where he felt that Tyson should have been much more offensively minded early on and should have even gone in for a knockout just because of how off balance and in range Wilder was for power shots. So it was actually a criticism that Freddie Roach made at the end of the fight in public, actually. Maybe it's one of the reasons Tyson ended up leaving Ben Davidson, and moving to another trainer, at least one of the reasons. But it's very interesting because for both guys to get success, both guys need to make adjustments. And I would say that the more adjustments actually have to be made on the Wilder side, and I'm not saying he's not capable of doing it. It's one of the reasons I'm tuning into this fight because it's a very evenly matched fight where both guys have legit paths to victory.
Yeah, I want to say this before I drop off because I know you guys got a lot of callers. I think when I heard that Freddie Roach said that after the fight, I remember saying to my brother, I kind of ridiculed. I thought that was a stupid idea, but as time went by, I thought Freddie Roach was right. I don't think Ben Davidson is a great coach. He might have the potential. I think this was the right thing to do. They should have maybe have done it earlier. The guy was more to me of a guy who's someone who pats Fury on the back, who helped him gain weight, who's a friend. I don't think he's a guy who can adapt. And if you look at that fight, Fury basically pretty much did. I thought the majority of those tactics were Fury doing a lot of the things down to himself. I don't think that he's someone that should be in the corner in the rematch. That's not knocking him. I just think he's way too inexperienced. And I think if Fury wants to try and hit the guy and knock him out, I think he does need to go with someone else. I did hear him saying on the Costello and Bunce BBC 5 Live podcast that Fury wanted to bring someone in. So Ben Davidson left the gym. I don't think he got rid of him. He decided to...
No, he didn't.
I think for the rematch, it's a 50-50 fight. I do agree with Amilcar. Wilder has got a lot of adjustments to make. He's basically a puncher who's fighting a very good boxer. But since he hits so hard, and this is the heavyweight division, all it takes is one punch. Like, he doesn't need to be perfect for 36 minutes. He just needs to be perfect for a couple of seconds. With the flip side, I think Fury is a freak of nature. I've never seen a heavyweight like that for a long time, move like that. You'd have to go a long time. And I do think Fury showed in the 12th round he's someone who's not going to lay down. He'll get back up. So I think it's a 50-50 fight. If I was to choose a winner, I'd probably go with Fury, although I won't be surprised if this goes the other way. I will say I think Fury is the guy who could adjust, who's got more in his game. I think as long as mentally the guy is switched on and he knows what's in front of him like the first time, I think he should get this done. And I think Wilder is heavily flawed. I think Wilder, I rewatched the Ortiz fight. I wasn't impressed. I know this was Ortiz and it's a different fight. But as I've watched Wilder, I don't think the guy is someone good enough to go unbeaten. And I personally don't think he could keep getting away with just relying on one right hand. I think this fight will probably be the fight where Fury might, get the W. Although I could be wrong. I think it could go either way. But I'd probably go with Fury if I was to pick one. But thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate it, man.
Fury,
always a pleasure.
Fury 1, Wilder 0.
All right, let's go with area code 860. You're on live right now on Leaving the Ring. What's on your mind?
Hey, how you guys doing? It's CT.
Hey, CT.
CT, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Yes, bro.
Pretty good. How are you?
Hello.
Excellent, man. You calling from Connecticut, I guess?
Yeah. Yep. I'm looking forward to the Wilder and Fury rematch this weekend. I think both fighters can come out, going into the rematch, they can get from the first fight. Fury was very relaxed in the first fight, and I think Wilder just needs to set up his right hand a little bit better. Maybe establish a better jab in the rematch. I'm gonna lean towards Wilder only because Fury doesn't seem as hungry as he did the first time going in, but I could be wrong. I mean, it's up to whoever makes the better adjustments in the rematch. But I'm looking forward to a close competitive fight. I'm gonna lean towards Wilder, maybe by late stoppage from Fury. Maybe have lapses in the later rounds, almost like he did in the first fight. But I think this time Wilder will take advantage of it once he hurts him.
There you go, Kenny.
I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. The first knockdown is gonna come earlier, and the KO is gonna come earlier to it. It ain't gonna be no round 12 knockdown or whatever. It's gonna be an early knockdown and an early knockout. Nah, give like a round 8 knockout or something.
I wanted to ask everybody a question because I haven't looked into this yet. I'm going to be ordering the fight this Saturday for sure, and what I've heard is that you have the option to order it on ESPN or order it on Fox. So, what are you guys more interested in, the Fox broadcast or the ESPN broadcast?
I'm gonna go with Fox. I had great success with Fox last time. So I mean, I don't know.
Like Lewis and Joe Goosen and Brian Kenny.
Well, I'm not buying it because of them. You know what I mean? Like I said, I have learned this. I have a new talent. Like I know I learn how to tune out certain things and just.
Yeah.
It's called alcohol. Just so you know. So.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know which commentating crew I want to listen to. That's what I heard, that we could order it through ESPN Plus or through the Fox Sports app.
Yeah, I don't know, but the dude, Brian Kenny, yeah, he has my name, so I think I'm gonna watch his channel.
Oh, man. All right, CT, you got anything else you want to talk about here, bro?
No, that's about it. Thanks for putting me on the show.
Awesome. Yo, CT, call back, bro. Call back.
Thanks for calling. I look forward to hearing back from you. You're on my team now.
Yeah. Let's go with area code 510. You're on live right now in Leading the Ring. What's on your mind, brother?
Hey, David. Hey, Amilcar and Kenny, Fernando here in Richmond. How you guys doing?
What's up? What's up?
Hey, Fernando.
How you doing, bro?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Good, man. Right off the bat, I got Deontay by knockout. I'm not gonna call which round because he can knock him out in any round. But the reason I really think they're evenly matched talent-wise. I think the difference is that people aren't really talking about is the mentality, man. The reason I'm picking Deontay because he seems focused and at peace. And meanwhile, Tyson kind of seems like he's all over the place. Like today, he was talking about maybe retiring after 3 fights. Right? That's never a good sign. Some guys are already planning on retiring, you know. And he switched up trainers, you know. There's too much of an appearance of a lack of concentration, which you know it's already showed for Tyson in the last 2 fights he had, man. It didn't look like he took those fights seriously against Valine and Schwartz, you know. So I just don't like where Tyson Fury is mentally. You know, what do you?
Yeah, they look like sparring sessions. You know what I mean? High-priced sparring sessions on television. Those fights really didn't belong there. That was my concern as well. You know, I mean, when he signed with Top Rank, I was like, okay, what's the angle? But you know what, though? I think because of the way Tyson, I'm not too concerned about how erratic he is because that's his personality. I think that Tyson Fury is one of those guys that need to live in some type of chaos or has to be on the go. They're never satisfied with one thing. I think that he's one of those people that don't have a stretched out strategic plan. He just plans as he goes. I could be wrong, but what I've witnessed and what I've heard from him, he's really a guy that's just gonna live at that moment. Wilder, I agree with you, Fernando, a whole lot. I think he's a far more confident guy. I think that he strongly believes in that right hand of his. But the thing is that flaws always cost you a fight that's high profile. It almost cost them in the first match. Just like many folks felt that Tyson edged it. You know, if he didn't get that 12th knockdown that he received when he dropped Tyson Fury, I think a strong possibility we wouldn't be here today talking about a rematch. I don't think Tyson Fury would want a rematch with him. But because he was able to get that, you know, dig deep and muster it, we're here. So I think that everything is equal in terms of what's riding on this fight here. So I wouldn't count out Tyson Fury focus-wise, but I agree wholeheartedly with you about Wilder, that he's really shown that he believes who he is, and he's been fighting to let the world know that he's the absolute killer, and he wants to be the baddest man on the planet.
Well, one thing I'd say to that is I've also heard Wilder discuss retirement as well, and he's repeatedly mentioned in interviews that the brain isn't supposed to take the kind of damage that it takes, you know, in boxing. So I've heard both guys talk about retirement. I don't know if I'm going to read as much into it as you have, Fernando, but yeah, like I said earlier, I mean, one of the intriguing things about this fight is that both guys have a legit path to victory. And it's like now we're looking at and nitpicking at kind of these intangible things to kind of, you know, come up with a reason why we think one guy will win or another. You know, it's just very exciting, the possibilities of what might happen on Saturday night. I'm not expecting a boring fight, though. I'm not expecting that, especially because of Deontay's power rounds 1 through 12.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree, man. With Deontay Wilder, he makes me thanks by that. Just by the fact that he could knock out anybody at any minute, any round. You know, it adds to the drama of the fight, man. What do you guys think about? Getting back to what you were saying about Amilcar, about the broadcasters. Yeah. I think that undercard is going to be brutal. Oh my God, the undercard, the fights are going to be very good. Yeah. And they're going to have co-broadcasting. They're going to have like 20 people on the broadcast from Fox and ESPN together. You know how much they're going to want to talk? Oh my God!
I thought it was separate broadcasts. I didn't know that they were uniting both teams. That's crazy.
Yeah, dude, they're going to be
talking so much. Excited about the Gerald Washington fight?
He's a homie, but no, not really. Nope.
I like Gerald Washington, man. He's a good dude, but yeah, he should have.
I do want to see Navarrete fight. I always find him exciting.
No, he is.
You know, this undercard, man, makes me miss Don King so much, man. Don King would always put on good undercards, man. Always, man. He would have Chavez on the undercard. He had Fernando Lopez on the undercard. He always had good undercards, man. Now it seems like we get like trash. You know, we're lucky to find like, you know, a good undercard, man. You know, it's brutal, man. Like I'm gonna go watch this at the movie theater. I don't know what I'm gonna do for the first 3 hours, man. I'm gonna be like sitting through The Godfather first, the undercard, you know. But
you gotta take in a backpack like you're going camping, and it better be filled with beers. That's what I'd be doing.
Exactly.
You know it, homie. You know it. That's how it's going to go.
And some Trader Joe's snacks, Nando, because I know you like Trader Joe's too.
Definitely, bro. Yeah, I'll be loaded up, man. Cassie, a question. I know you guys are. Huh? What?
He said Wilder already.
Well, Wilder by knockout. Yeah, I got Wilder by knockout. Can I change the subject just a little bit? I was wondering.
Go ahead, bro.
I know you guys probably get to it later, but
no, go for it.
What do you guys think of the lightweight division, man? Like, for me personally, man, I've been watching boxing for like almost 30 years now, since I was a little kid. That lightweight division is probably the best one I've seen since like the Pacquiao, Morales, Barrera, Marquez group of featherweights, man. That it's Teo, Devin, Tank, Loma. It is stacked, bro. It is stacked. It's unbelievable, man.
You got to add the Garcia to the mix. He's been knocking mofos out, man. Clean, too.
Garcia, man. How loaded is that division, man? And what's crazy, right above it, Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor. You know?
Yeah,
it's like
crazy.
Mikey Garcia. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was just about to say what's crazy is that Mikey Garcia should be in the mix because he's not a welterweight. He should be fighting at 135.
Exactly. You know, it's unbelievable, man. I'm so excited. You know, those guys are really young, man. So we might be seeing these guys fight each other for the next 10 years, man, off and on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. So who right now? Here's an interesting question for you. Right now, who do you got if they were to fight? Tank or Garcia?
For the same reason that I'm picking against Tyson Fury, I have to take Garcia.
Yeah.
Garcia is the more focused fighter right now, man. Tank, man, he has all these problems outside the ring. They're like taking away from his talent. You know, that's the reason I take Garcia.
Yeah.
And Garcia's kind of like Deontay. His career is going on the up, not on the down. You know, that's the difference for me, man. Like.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Based off his last,
on the slide a little bit.
Yeah, based on Tank's last performance against Gamboa, I mean, you know, you gotta look at Garcia. He looks the part. You know, he carries the weight very well. His hand speed is on point. Though the last guy that he fought on Valentine's Day, we got to admit he was leading in with his head. Why, dude? If you got clipped with a left hook, why would you continue to step forward with your head? Why would you put your head first to block a punch? I didn't get that at all. I thought that was the stupidest thing that he didn't. It was just so off for me. I was like, it almost felt like he did it on purpose. You know what I mean? Like he was just like, let me see if you do it again. I didn't understand any of that. You know,
I think they don't believe the power. I think he felt, look, I went rounds with Tank Davis or other guys. I'll go rounds with this guy, and they don't still respect that hook he's got. I mean, that hook is a thing of beauty. The way he throws it.
Yeah, bro.
You take my hat off to Chepo Reynoso, man. This guy is some trainer. I mean, Ryan Garcia did not look like this a few fights ago. He's really got him moving and throwing his punches well.
I'm still on reserve. I'm still reserved. I got to tell you guys the truth. I'm very reserved with them still. I wasn't too excited just because the whole overall, you know, I still need to see. I think Linares is going to be the biggest test. If he could do something with Linares and show me that he can box him and and knock him out in a much, you know. Because this fight that he had on Valentine's Day was a kiss and give me a rose and go home type of fight. I wasn't impressed as much as all you guys were impressed. I wasn't impressed. I was there going like, all right, no big deal. Let's move forward. I want to see him with tougher guys with longer resumes, and guys that are actually going to test them and take them to the deep water. Linares is that guy.
David, I got to kind of disagree on a couple things. You know, Romero Duno was expected to be a tough fight, right? Francisco Fonseca came in, I'm not saying as someone who most people felt was going to win, but not someone that was going to get KO'd like that. I wasn't necessarily impressed by the fact that he won. I was impressed by the way that he won.
No, I can give you that. You know, that it was impressive the way he did it. But at the same time, when you get something that is that fast, where do you really rate him at? You know, where do we put him at? You know, can we say that he could be? I mean, you know, we're already saying he could beat Tank Davis because of his last performance, the way Tank looked. But Tank could have not taken Gamboa very serious and get himself back together. You know, I just still want to see him in a test like Linares before I start saying he could be a real player against the other guys that are in the lightweight division. That's the
difference between a Tank Davis and the guy who promotes him, Mayweather. Mayweather took all his opponents serious. Mayweather always trained for his fights. Mayweather always made weight. Mayweather, you know, was a disciplined boxer. I don't think Tank Davis is any of those things. He's got a hell of a lot of talent.
And that's why I'm not so interested in that fight either.
Go ahead, Kenny. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of guys in this division.
Well, I could
I mean, we also
Garcia
forgot
beat
Luke Campbell.
Garcia.
He's in the division. He's a great fighter. I mean, it's
Right.
stacked. 135.
It is stacked. It is stacked. And what I could say is this: the Tank Davis that we saw of late, that's not too serious and it doesn't come in well prepared. He's not, he's not disciplined. That Garcia beats him, and that's why I'm not too excited if they make that fight immediately. I'd rather see Linares, in my opinion, because right now in their stages between Garcia and Tank Davis, Linares to me is going to be that monitor of where really Garcia is at and how serious Davis needs to take Garcia if Garcia blows out Linares.
Yeah. I mean, look, even a guy like Jose Pedraza would be a good test because he's been a lot better since he moved up, and I think he was really killing himself to make 130. You know, there are a lot of guys in this division and a lot of nice matchups. It would be a great division for a tournament. It would be a great division for a tournament, but as you know, with Top Rank controlling a lot of these guys, it's likely not going to be something that's possible.
No. No, absolutely. Fernando, what do you think, bro?
I'll say one negative about Ryan is how he holds his head, man. It looks like a Pez dispenser up there, man.
Yeah,
and
dude.
That's gonna be super dangerous against Linares, man. Because Linares is a sniper.
Yeah.
You know, he caught Lomachenko, man. You know, so that's one negative for Ryan Garcia that I see. You know, every time
I think that Ryan.
Something that changed.
You know, the only thing I think is that Lomo is a guy that kind of has to break you down. He breaks you down physically and mentally in the ring, then he gets the KO. I think Ryan is just more explosive, more dynamic. You know what I mean? And that's where my concern with Linares is that Linares is going to have to box almost a near perfect fight the way he did against Lomachenko. And I'm not sure if he has that in him anymore. Could he do that? You know, could his legs sustain such a discipline and keep away from Ryan Garcia's left hook? I'm not quite sure. But also, can Ryan Garcia, is he smart enough? Could his experience take a boost of learning how to cut off the ring, how to jab, how to dictate the fight to shorten the ring more to trap Linares? That's why, to me, that's a very interesting, and it's going to really tell me where do we put in the rankings Garcia with the other lightweights.
I agree. That's that's the best fight for him. But at the same time, let's not forget that Jorge Linares got knocked the F out. And I think it was the first round, the fight right after Lomachenko. So, does that discredit Lomachenko and Lomachenko's chin or skill? Or does it say that Linares is getting older? And if it is that Linares is getting older, then does that really credit Ryan Garcia so much? Yes, it's a step up, but then does it really credit Ryan Garcia so much?
Well,
I'll say this.
Go ahead.
Like, I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm not going to interrupt.
No,
go ahead, man.
I'll say one thing, man. Linares is better than anybody that Taylor has fought, or Ken Davis has fought, or Devin Haney has fought, right? So he's a step up, man, for any of those guys, you know. Linares is super dangerous, dude. He you know, like, he's been upset before, and he's always come back. He's been upset like 4 times, I can count, right? He's been like,
Sergio
like
Thompson was the first guy to stop him.
Sergio Thompson, Antonio DeMarco beat him. Who else beat him? Lomachenko, and then obviously Cano.
Yeah.
Who am I missing?
So when you look at resumes, I mean,
Yeah.
Salgado. Yeah. So when you look at resumes, right, like, this is the biggest fight. Out of the 4 young lightweights, right? KO, Devin, Tank, and Ryan. Linares is going to be the toughest fight for any of them. Because I know Teofimo's going to be fighting Loma in May and everything. But as of right now, that would be the toughest fight for any of those guys. You know, so you can't.
It's a great fight for Garcia. Yeah, because to
fight.
me, in my opinion, it's his walk in through the doors the way Oscar De La Hoya fought Janero Hernandez. You know, it was that introduction. You know, the passing of the hat of saying, okay, I've arrived. If he could do that, because you're fighting somebody with a lot of experience, somebody that was really at one point was labeled as a pound for pound fighter. So that's why I think him fighting a Linares before a Tank Davis it's really important, not just for the match itself, but for his confidence, his resume, and it's going to actually add to his ring experience.
Let me take my phone call. I appreciate it.
No, 1 second before you go, Nando. Did you see the PBC card in the Caleb Plant fight?
Yeah, I did, but I really wasn't that impressed. I know he has a lot of talent and everything, but he still hasn't proven anything. Caleb Plant, that guy he fought was a club fighter, man.
He was number 30 or something like that.
Yeah.
He wasn't any better than
the type of guy who I see Canelo blasting out of there in 1 to 2 rounds max.
Who?
You know, so
I think Caleb.
My question was going to be, how would you rank the top, let's say, 4 or 5 guys at 168?
168. All right, so I'll go with Canelo. And to be honest, I think I got David Benavidez right below Canelo at number 2.
Mm-hmm.
I got Billy Joe Sanders, Callum Smith, and then Caleb Plant at number 5. You know, just because, you know, to be honest, I think everybody sleep on Callum Smith, man. You know, that guy won the World Boxing Super Series for a reason, man. You know, I don't know what happened to his career where it kind of went off with the edge again, but he's actually one of the more talented guys at 168. But for whatever reason, they haven't matched him tough. He has no momentum. You know, he's gonna find out undercards. You know. But thank you for taking my phone call. I appreciate it, man. Great show. Thank you.
Thank you for calling in.
Thank you. Enjoy the fight Saturday.
Thank you.
Fight fans, if you want to call in, certainly can. 4721598. We're here talking Tyson Fury, the rematch. Also, everything else is involved in boxing. So your guys' list was Canelo at 168, right? Canelo, Benavidez, B.J. Saunders, Smith, and Plant.
That was right? The list, yeah. The problem right now with 168 is that Canelo, and I would say probably more than Canelo, Golden Boy are kind of holding things up. According to Eddie Hearn, they sent out offers to Billy Joe Saunders and to Caleb Plant for Canelo's May date as a fight, and they were like super low ball offers. So, you know.
I know Plant said that even if the offer, whatever, he wouldn't even take it. Not even, you know, if it was low or high, he wouldn't take it because he feels like he wouldn't be ready. He wouldn't be, you know, ready. He wouldn't be well prepared to face Canelo. B.J. Saunders, yeah, he did. Wow. He did say that right after the fight. He said, "I don't feel that it'd be enough time for me to be properly prepared to get in with Canelo."
Well, that's self-reflective. I kind of switched off right after the fight. I didn't watch the interviews. I should have stayed on and listened.
Yeah, it was on there. It was in his post conference. You know, media was asking him, you know, if Canelo was to offer for a May fight, is that a strong possibility to see Caleb Plant get in there with him? You know, I got to agree with Fernando. I wasn't, like, overly impressed. Why? Because this is his second title defense, and they're the two guys that he faced are both in the bracket. They're getting up the rankings. Look, in terms of, if he's looking for more money, okay, whatever he was offered with Canelo, the only thing I would agree with him is that he said, "I'm going to fight with Benavidez because I want to unify the titles because bouts matter, right? Bouts have more of a way to now have a heavier hand in negotiation." get in there with David Benavidez. My thing, though, is that I don't think he can beat a David Benavidez. So taking the big money payday against Canelo would be whatever, even though they think it's lowballing it, would be his highest payday ever.
Yeah. I think they're probably looking
right
for
now,
Kovalev money, the money that Kovalev got for his fight, but
I think the way
Kovalev
Sorry.
Yeah, Kovalev had an extensive, resume. I mean, whatever Kovalev was offered was rightfully so because look at who he has faced. Caleb Plant, you haven't faced anybody. Let's be honest here. BJ Saunders has is a more recognizable face to name in boxing than him. But like I said, look, fighters got to not only be intelligent in the ring, they got to be smart outside the ring, and he's obviously trying to be a business guy. But myself as a boxing ghoul that want to see good fights and want to see fighters test themselves, especially if you got a belt. If you got a goddamn belt, you're supposed to fight the best available opponents out there. And
yeah, absolutely.
The best available guy, who in my opinion wouldn't be number one at 168. He just star power wise, I would say Canelo is number one, star power wise. But I think that who earned the stripes would be David Benavidez. To me, he's the number one guy in that division. Caleb Plant, why didn't you not fight the other guys that at one time hold the title to kind of let me know exactly how good you really are? Because your hand speed and your footwork, I mean, it was expected against guys like that. Very rarely do we see a major upset, though we've been getting some from PBC, which thank you very much, PBC. But I didn't expect any of that, so I wasn't one to tune in on Saturday. I actually tuned in today. I watched it, and I sat there and I said, I with Fernando, I wasn't very impressed. I'm not going to be one to run to the box office to see this kid. So yeah.
Well, I wasn't impressed either. And it wasn't even really a clean knockout. It was a finish him on his feet type thing.
I think
that kind of guy, you really need to put this guy there like Canelo did when he moved up to 168 and fought Smith.
What are you gonna say, Kenny?
No, I just feel that Caleb Plant, what he's saying is, by saying that it's not enough money, he's pretty much saying, you're not offering me enough money to lose my O. It's not that it's not enough money for him. It's that, in today's day in boxing, that's like the weight of money. Winning a belt and having 0 losses and just fighting chumps, and everybody's trying to do the Mayweather route. The difference is that these guys are actually fighting chumps. Mayweather just fought washed up champs. Is the difference.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
true.
I mean,
he broke guys out of the weight classes like Shambe Mitchell and etc.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, Plant should be fighting ex-champions. Plant should be saying Plant's last fight should have been like to a Danny Jacobs who moved up to 168.
Yeah.
He should have been fighting like the Durrells, dude, the Durrells of the world. That's who he should have been facing at 168. Not the other guys that
would have been a better fight than this guy that he fought Saturday. I don't even remember the guy's name, the German guy.
Exactly. That's the whole point there, And and let me tell you this, because somebody asked me on a Leaving the Ring Gmail, they said, how is this guy how is he getting so popular? In terms of there's these commentators, they're calling him great. Oh, he's got great hand speed. He's got this. And I have to contribute to my really good friend, Mario Serrano. Mario Serrano is a PR. Mario is a great publicist. And Mario pushes every one of his fighters into everybody's face. He's gifted. He's a very gifted PR, okay?
Yeah.
He helped out Robert the Ghost Guerrero's career, a tremendous in the welterweight division. I think a lot of ways you got to
He
contribute.
call into your show all the time just to talk about Robert the Ghost Guerrero.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and to this day, Mario will try to push every prospect or every amateur guy he has down my throat and say, "Can you get him on the ring? Can you do this?"
Caleb Plant as a client?
What was that?
He has Caleb Plant as a client?
Yes, he does.
Wow.
Yes, he does. Among a lot of other folks he has as a client. And I just say that's why, boxing not only needs a great promoter, they need a great publicist. They need that guy that's always on the grind. And that's the only reason why I know about Caleb Plant. Because to tell you the truth, the way he fights and who he's fighting, he wouldn't be on TV and nobody would know who he is. I wouldn't know who he is.
No. He's also an anomaly. He's also an anomaly. I mean, he's a white guy from Tennessee who fights at a high level.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of those, you know?
No, not at all. Not at all, man. But like I said, I'm not going to judge.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm not going to judge Caleb Plant's talent. I think he is talented. He's got fast hands. He does box really good, but it's against subpar opponents. Okay, it's against. I don't call nobody chumps, man, unfortunately, or bums or anything like that, because I think anybody that laces gloves and takes a punch in the face as a living that's a tough fucking gig to be involved. But to fight club fighters as a champion and then expect people to say that you're a great fighter, that's
and then say that you won't fight Canelo, even if an offer is made.
Right.
It's not a good look.
Right. You needed a full crazy camp to face this last guy that nobody even remembers his name. I mean, come on. You barely even got touched. You barely even got touched with this guy. So what's the problem of rolling in and facing Canelo Alvarez, I don't see the problem there. If anything, your body's preserved, it's ready to go. You take a month off or whatever, a couple of weeks off, get right back in the gym,
May
your strategy.
Plenty of time. May is plenty of time.
Plenty of time. Plenty of time. Here's the thing, too. Because of his style of fighting, we're not expecting you to go to war. You didn't go to war in this last fight. You're not one of these guys that's going to take it to Canelo. Canelo's going to have to take it to you, which is a terrible style matchup for Canelo, in my opinion. Most of these guys that go in there. What was that?
I said he's the shorter fighter, but I think his body work would really trouble Caleb Plant a lot.
I think so too.
So
anything that. Go ahead. What are you gonna say?
Quick question. You did see the Abel Ramos Brian Perella fight, right?
The what fight? I'm sorry.
The Abel Ramos Brian Perella fight, the Jack Reese.
Yes, I did.
Thing.
Jack Reese.
Jack Reese. Oh my God. What were your thoughts there, David?
Why don't you break it down for our listeners before we get into that, so they can kind of, if they didn't watch that fight.
It was an undercard fight on the Caleb Plant PBC card, and Brian Perella, who's out of Florida and is known for being kind of a guy in Keith Thurman's camp, was winning pretty much every round in a 10-round fight. Got knocked down hard in the 10th, got up, kind of tried to survive for a little bit.
From an uppercut.
Yeah, from an uppercut. Then got knocked down again, kind of into the ropes, and then went down. And then got up to his feet. There was like somewhere between 1 to 3 seconds left in the fight. And Jack Reese asked him to walk one way. He walked that way. And Jack Reese ended the fight. I was actually pretty surprised by the ending. I mean, I know the guy was hurt, and you want to protect the safety of the fighters, but the fight was over. The
fight was over. But let me tell you what I saw.
Yeah, okay.
I saw a kid that was having his way, landing that right hand, and then Abel came from behind. His corner told him, "You need a knockout. You need to press for this knockout." Comes with a beautiful, I believe it was a right uppercut, right? Came from the outside. I mean, right in between the gloves. That rocked his whole world. He gets up. He's very staggered, gets dropped again. Jack Reese says, "Walk towards me." The kid immediately looked at his corner, turned his head to look at his corner. And then when he walked, I don't know if you caught this, Amilcar, but when he walked, he literally tripped on his own feet. He stumbled. And that's when Jack Reese waved off that fight. Now, I agree with you. The kid, there was only 3 seconds. The corner was yelling. You know, Lou DiVella, they were yelling at, like, you know, they did the Lou DiVella thing. They were yelling at Jack Reese, like, "What are you doing? 3 seconds left," et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My whole thing is this, is that at that point when you have a kid that's hurt, it's very difficult for us to be in the mind of Jack Reese. I'm not defending Jack Reese of his decision because, you know, I don't think I can argue with anybody, especially with Pavela's corner saying, like, "Hey, we won that fight. We had, you know, you stole that moment away from us." But at the same time, you know, I don't think Jack Reese knew how much more they had, because you're living through that moment and you're full focus on the fighter's eyes and his body language that you get consumed in it. And he did what he felt was that right thing to do in the moment, which wave it off. So I'm not too upset about it, but it was stolen from that kid. It should have been a victory for him. You know, thank God that it didn't happen like a Melvin Taylor, because Melvin Taylor was beaten to a pulp. You know, this kid was barely being touched. Finally, when he gets touched, his bell was ringing, man, big time.
Yeah. You know, in the long run, this might be the best thing for Brian Perella, because at the end of the day, if Abel Ramos is going to ring your bell like that, it doesn't speak very well for your future in the sport, at least at the championship level. But it's tough to see a fight get ended when, you know, the fight was essentially over, you know?
I know. It is. It's a tougher pill for the kid and his trainer that put in the work and the time, you know? You know, I don't know about you guys, but I always think it's a bad idea when you see a ref work 2 fights in a row. You know, I think that some fatigue does kick in, and your eyes do get tired, and you're jumping. What was that?
He did like 3 fights, right?
Yeah, in a row.
That could be easy.
You know, in a row.
And he's not a young man either.
No, he's no spring chicken at all. You know,
he's like Sleepy Joe Biden out there, going from one fight to the next. Yep, exactly. You know, let me ask you guys this. If you guys want to call in, certainly can. I'd like to hear somebody's opinion about Blair Cobbs, right? What do you guys think about him? Oh, that guy's so fucking annoying, man.
Who?
I literally just want to see him get knocked out. The first time I saw him, I think he sprinted into the ring and then started doing the Ric Flair who, like, in every corner of the ring. It was ridiculous. I'm like, and he had like this afro and was like going all over the place. I'm like, please, somebody hurt this guy. Not like or whatever, but just knock him out, please.
Do you know who I thought he was when I first glanced at him? When the first time I ever saw him, do you know who I thought he was? I thought he was that kid Justin from American Idol. I was like, what is this dude boxing now? What we got YouTubers and now we got American Idol guys going in the ring?
Yeah. I actually saw him well before the YouTube fights. It was on one of the early DAZN cards when I first subscribed to DAZN. He was like on, you know, the card before the card, right? Before they bring out the main announcers and everybody else, when it's just Mora and like one other guy doing the fights. And I'm like, this guy is like the biggest fucking cornball I've ever seen boxing.
I kind of like his personality, but he's an accident waiting to happen. He leaves his chin out there. He gets caught. What every every punch out of the book he gets caught with. But
apparently
I tell you what.
Yeah.
No, apparently what? What were you gonna say?
No, I'm saying apparently he grew up in Mexico. Did you know this?
You know what? I didn't, and I should, because he's also one of Mario Serrano's clients. And Mario sends me a lot of his stuff about him my way. It just tells you how bad of a guy that I read every email.
Yeah. Apparently he grew up in Mexico.
Guys, I want to ask you a question really quickly, because I don't think you ever gave me your full take. And that is, so I could finish the tally. Who do you have winning this fight? And why? I mean, how?
What fight? I'm sorry.
Fury Wilder 2. Sorry, Fury Wilder 2, the main event. We're coming to a close in like 18 minutes, so I think we should recap and take it back to Fury Wilder. So I just want to get your guys' final tally on Fury Wilder. David and Amilcar, let me know who you think is gonna win, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, and how you think they're gonna win. Is it gonna be TKO, decision, KO? Let me know.
Well, really quick, let me just mention this really quick, because this is actually, I'm glad that Nato put this on the chat room, because when I heard the announcement of the passing of James Thunder, a heavyweight that I used to watch on USA fights and other cards and stuff, wasn't the most polished guy, but man, he used to bring just some wars in the ring. In my childhood, was one of those guys, man, just always fun to watch. So rest in peace, brother. And I know that the boxing gates of heaven have opened the doors with open arms to receive you. So that goes there. I want to hear Amilcar's take first before I give you my pick, because I'm still on the fence, man, to tell you the truth. I think I was kind of for sure and confident when I was talking to you, Kenny, when we were going back and forth on text and stuff. I think I was on like with you. I was like, yeah, I don't know, man. But then I watched the fucking fight, and I do this to myself every time, guys. I watch the fight 3 or 4 times, and then I write a bunch of notes, and then I start kind of doubting what I'm thinking or what I'm seeing. I'm like, I don't know. What if he does this? Oh, well, no, he did this pretty well. So I want to hear Amilcar about what he thinks and how he believes it's gonna end up on Saturday night.
All right. So the first thing is, usually I'm pretty bad with predictions because I oftentimes go for the underdog or for fighters that I want to win, and. In this case, I actually like both fighters a lot. I really like Deontay Wilder, and I really like Tyson Fury. And I'm trying to be as objective as I can in terms of kind of dissecting the skills and the deficiencies of each fighter. I'm just going to return to what I started with, which is that the first fight we saw a Tyson Fury that was far from the best version of Tyson Fury. It was a guy who was out of shape, had really been out of the ring for a long time, hadn't fought at a high level for a long time, and had spent time just essentially shedding weight with, Ben Davidson, who by all accounts was a personal trainer more than he was a boxing coach at that time. I think now we're going to see a much more confident Tyson Fury, a much more polished Tyson Fury in terms of just getting the rust off and sharpening up his skills. And if he can box a disciplined fight and stay out of range of Deontay's power shots, and when needed, hold him, lean on him, use his weight, box him inside, between Deontay's powerful shot range, I see Tyson Fury winning this fight. When I see Deontay win this fight, I'll get to that. The only way I can see Deontay winning this fight is by stoppage, and so I'm gonna pick I'm gonna pick Tyson Fury, and I'm gonna surprise people. I'm gonna pick him by KO.
Woo!
Well, you're the
Boy,
second
you're on the
person.
record.
Yeah,
On the record.
I think he learned a lesson the first fight. I don't think he's gonna want this to go to the scorecards, and I know he has the power to hurt Wilder. And when he hurts him,
Right.
I think he's gonna do what Freddie Roach criticized Ben Davidson for not pushing Tyson to do in the first fight, which was essentially go for the kill. Interestingly enough, he actually admitted after the Otto Wallin fight that Ben Davidson did not want him to knock out Otto Wallin early, but he just ignored him. You know, in retrospect, looking back on that, that might have been a signal that he was thinking about a new trainer, because he said, "Look, you know, I felt Wallin's power. I didn't want to stay in there for a long time, and once I got him hurt, I went for the KO." And I think that's the kind of mentality he has now going into this fight with Wilder.
Before you go, David, let me just battle him from the other side, because a lot of things that I got to say to him and to respond to what he said, and then you could bring us all in for summation and close us out. Pretty much, I just think that you said that Tyson Fury was in a fat camp. I disagree that, or no, he wasn't a fat camp for that first fight, but, you know, after he was for that fat camp, what good opponent did he actually face? He's been facing people that nobody's even ever heard of, and he's had a tough time fighting them. He hasn't fought any great opposition. Deontay Wilder has fought way better opposition than he has. So you're telling me he goes from fighting big old Wilder to fighting a bunch of these other smaller guys, and that he's no longer been in the fat camp, that he's been getting so much better, and he's great?
Hold on, real quick.
At all, bro.
What?
He didn't struggle with Schwartz. He didn't struggle with Schwartz.
I didn't even get to finish what I was saying. I was told to hold on. I'm trying to listen.
I know. Hold on, I just want before we lose, because you said that Tyson Fury hasn't fought anybody. The resume is not equal as Wilder, right? That Wilder's fought better opposition
since they fought each other.
Bro,
they fought each other.
But really, I mean, Tyson Fury beat Vladimir Klitschko.
I said since they fought each other. Since Tyson, since the first time they fought.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't mean overall records. I mean that Deontay Wilder has fought way better opposition since the first time that him and Tyson Fury fought than Tyson Fury has fought.
I agree.
So, if you're asking me, the person who should be more prepared for this fight is Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury want to be going over to WWE and doing whatever clown stuff. He could do that. Listen, man. Deontay Wilder, he's coming with the fire. He's going to knock the man out, and you're going to see. Deontay Wilder has been preparing. That is my guy. He's going to knock him TFO. And that stands for the fuck out.
Okay. Well, I put this on the Leave the Ring Twitter account. I had asked folks who they thought was the best heavyweight right now. Is it Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury? And they still had to put Anthony Joshua in the mix because he did get his titles back from Andy Ruiz. Tyson Fury got 51% of the votes. Deontay was 27%, and Joshua was 22%. I also asked in a poll who most folks thought were going to win on Saturday's fight. And Tyson Fury got 52%, and Deontay Wilder got 23%. You know, I think this is that I think both of you guys bring up valid points, and I think the callers that called in have brought some really valid points. And I think that's why it's so difficult to pick who's going to win this fight, because they're so equal. You know, they're yin and yang, in my opinion. They really do complement each other. It's really rare right now, especially right now in the heavyweight division, where you have two polar opposites to complement each other. Okay? And I think that not just two fights is going to satisfy our appetite or answer all the questions that we have that is laced down for these guys. You know, Tyson Fury could fight southpaw and surprise Wilder. You know, Wilder's patience has been growing. He's been looking way more comfortable in the ring, and that's evident. I can't deny that. I don't think anybody can deny that. I agree with Kenny when he says, like, what were you doing in the WWE? What were you doing fighting the Tom Schwartz of the world? How do you prepare yourself for that? But at the same time, I say, well, you prepare yourself because he was getting his body back together. If he truly was just trying to lose the weight, he was trying to get his body back together and do these certain regimens to get to where he needed to go. Wilder, though, still needs more tricks in the bag to beat a better – if this is going to be a better conditioned Tyson Fury, he's going to really need more tricks in that bag. The way for Tyson Fury, in my opinion, to beat Wilder is not try to go into that greed mode again. It's to make Wilder miss and make him pay. That's how he caught him a few times, and that's how he hurt him. Regardless of Kenny, you want to believe it or not, Fury was able to hurt him. I witnessed that with my own eyes, and my eyes don't lie to me. I saw that.
But I have a question for both of you. Sorry,
hold on. Let him finish making his choice. I need to write this down for the tally.
Okay. So, but also, I think that when Wilder is just himself, that's when he creates the moments. Whereas Tyson needs to be strategic about it. You know, he has to box to make moments. Wilder doesn't need to do that. He's got to just let his hands go. And as crazy and off balance that he is, it's fucking worked for the kid. You know, it's really worked for him. And it got him the draw with Tyson Fury. So here's my pick really quick because I want to hear what Amilcar has to ask. I'm going to lean with Tyson Fury. I think I have to lean with them because I think that he is going to bring two new things to the table, okay? But I tell you what, if weigh-in comes and he's over the 266 like Hamed mentioned and he's brought muscle to the legs, he might be dead in the water in 6 and 7 rounds. And that's going to be Wilder's, pick of coming down the hill and picking what he wants to eat. I just don't see that smart for Tyson Fury to do. I think Tyson wants to be as light as he can be so that he can switch and hit and move and make Wilder pay for it. And I see that. I see that him going southpaw and him go back to that first fight when he touched Wilder's legs. That's the smartest thing to do. Wilder's legs they're like twigs, man. They're super skinny for a heavyweight. So if you touch that body, those legs should tire out a lot quicker than somebody with thicker legs. So I got to go with Fury. I think that he's smart enough. I think the IQ is going to be very difficult to kind of overlook. And I think that if Wilder is going to try to outsmart the fox, he's going to be put in the hole. So I'm going to go with Tyson Fury, but I'm not as brave as Amilcar. I go with Tyson Fury on a split decision.
Just to sum up the odds, I guess Vegas is correct. We got 3-3. But everybody got Wilder winning by KO. 2 people Fury by KO, 1 person Fury by decision. I guess Vegas does have the odds correct. All right, Amilcar, take over. Your question.
No, I mean, my question is really why does Wilder get so much credit for his win over Dominic Breazeale and Fury gets so much scorn for the 2 fights he had? I mean, even the win against Luis Ortiz, I don't really rate it. I mean, who did Luis Ortiz fight prior to the rematch with Wilder? I think he was inactive for a while, and if I remember correctly, I can't even remember the three names. It was like
he was labeled
Travis Hoffman and Chris Kimmer. You get credit for who has Breazeale ever beat? Breazeale's biggest win. Come on, bro. It's like why is he getting credit for knocking this guy out?
Well, here's another thing too that we could point out. Even though I love Luis Ortiz, man. I've always called him the Lego face, the brick face. But Ortiz's really biggest win is against Bryant Jennings, and that's when we kind of considered him a puncher. But he really had never faced a puncher, and really didn't really destroy anybody. So that win still is very, 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 very questionable. Also, Tom Schwartz if you go back, I had already watched a lot of tape on Tom Schwartz. He had a right hand, a really nice right hand. He was successful with that right hand, but the southpaw stance threw him off his game. Really threw him off his game, and that's why Fury was able to do the things that he wanted to do. That's why I'm looking at it and I'm like, look, Fury's not as dumb as he looks. You know, his tactics and what he does outside the ring is not agreeable, but his IQ in the ring is something that you have to say, shit, he's a really smart dude. He knows what to do. And these last two fights, I'll tell you what, Kenny, what they proved for me in his last two fights, even though there were nobodies, is that he looks more comfortable. He looked way more comfortable. But with Wilder, you could say the same. And that's why I say this is a 50-50 fight. This is a really hard one to pick, guys, in my opinion.
Absolutely. But that's why I don't bring in the last two fights for either guys. I mean, I don't think the last two fights we can really rate the four opponents. And yeah, you know, Fury was doing WWE. Wilder was going. I would have made my joke about how we got a KO against Braun Strowman. I'll leave that for another day. But yeah, he was doing WWE, KOing people, and Wilder was running around promoting his wife's fashion line. So they're both doing things outside the ring. Look, what matters right now is the skills that each of these guys have, the shape that they're going to come to the fight in, and finally the tactics and game plan that they have, and then obviously their ability to make adjustments in the ring. Right? When I look at those four things, you know, I see Fury is the guy that can make the adjustments. But, you know, with Deontay's right hand, literally anything can happen. So it's why I'm excited for the fight.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Well, folks, I'll tell you what, everybody enjoy the fight. Don't drink and drive, because you know what? You will spill your beer. And just on a final note, we'll be back Monday. So I want to thank everybody that supports and listens to every one of the shows that are on the network, but especially when you come on Leaving the Ring here. And by request, this is how we're going to go out with Leaving the Ring. That's for you, Fernando. All right, fellas. I will talk to you guys soon. Here back on the man. Guys, take care.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you for everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, it's Leave It in the Ring.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.